good afternoon, and welcome to a Friday edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast. As always, broadcasting from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Yeah, get more details on Anidjar and Levine on my website at markmosesshow.com. Now, this guy, he's probably running on 2 hours of sleep after his Miami Hurricanes actually won last night in the Fiesta Bowl, beating Ole Miss. He's my great friend and super Hurricanes fan through and through. Yes, Chris Bonanno. Chris, how you doing today, buddy?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
What a remarkable game last night. In a lot of ways that I'm sure we'll get into. The thought crossed my mind at a point that I might be really grumpy because we had the schedule before the game last night, win or lose. And the thought came to my mind, like, I might just go and rant. And maybe there'll be some ranting, but they're happy rants, so I'm good with it.
Let's start with this. The haters say that was pass interference on the final play. My thought, I'm going to give you my thought, then I'm going to let you have the floor. I go, look, this whole game had pass interference all over the place where there were no calls being made. It was a crazy, wacky game from the referees. Miami survived. They won. There was a lot of contact. They didn't call it. They let the players play. Miami wins. What are your thoughts?
So as far as the last play goes, a couple things. If the referee Bill Lamagna on the telecast said it was a mutual combat, right? So they were both players were engaging in something like that. I personally am not going to feel bad about not having a pass interference flag thrown at the Fiesta Bowl, because bad things happen in that regard to me on that. And in a way, it's kind of an appropriate way to end the game for Miami. There was one on an Ole Miss drive. It was 3rd and 8. They threw the flag, and I was like, it was a late flag too. And I was like, gosh, we're doing this again. I was terrified at the last Ole Miss drive because they were right in the same spot, almost to a T, where Virginia Tech was last year. And I remember, they just about completed that Hail Mary after about 10 minutes. They overruled it, but still to this day, I couldn't tell you whether he caught it or not. And so obviously with the magic that Ole Miss had and what have you, I just feel really, really good. And let's say it is pass interference. Okay. You get one play from the 17-yard line, you still don't like their chances. So it's not like, it's not the NFL. They wouldn't have got the ball on the 2-yard line or anything like that. So I'm just really, really happy. There's a lot of things they overcame to win that game. Some self-inflicted, some injury-wise, flu, but it's just amazing.
I kind of felt like after that game, and I slept on it, and I've been thinking about this morning also, going into this conversation with you, Miami was the better team. Miami was bigger, stronger, and more physical. There were times in this football game, they looked like an NFL team compared to Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss is a great football team, and they did score points against that Miami defense. But I agree with what you just said. Miami was screwing up on multiple plays. Like, I don't think it should have been this close of a game, but it was at the end. How about you?
So if you'd not watched Miami football for the last 20 years, and honestly, given the fact they weren't, some of these teams weren't all that great, you may not have. But if you want to know, how has Miami never won the ACC? That game's how. That was the SMU game. They dominated the pace of play, but 8 million penalties against them, just like the SMU game. Some of them were questionable in the SMU game, and I would argue a couple were questionable last night. But just finding ways to keep the opposition in, even when you've got the talent edge. I have these stats I want to read to you. I saw it before I came on. This is from OptaStats on X. These are incredible. Miami is the only FBS or NFL team in the last 20 years to hold the ball for more than 40 minutes, amass more than 400 yards of offense, convert 10 or more third downs, convert multiple fourth downs, and have 4 drives of 13 or more plays, all in the same game, regular season or postseason. They did all of that, and we're losing with 20 seconds to go. And some of it was just some inexplicable offensive play calling. Terrible. I know they've had some cute plays that worked in November. The cute stuff hasn't worked at all in the playoffs. You know, the flea flicker.
The flea flicker was so bad. It was so bad.
And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. The last play call was terrible.
Oh, he scores.
As soon as they drop back to throw, why in the world are you throwing? They just gotten 5 yards the time before. If you pounded up the middle 3 more times on Ole Miss, I don't think they were stopping them from inside the 3. And you're risking a pick to end the game. And, so Beck, I give him a lot of credit. He's taken a lot of criticism before and during his Miami stint. He was there at the end for us last night, and he was great.
How big of a win was this for the program?
I think it was a big win for the program. I think it was a big win for the ACC. The ACC, this is the part I can't get over.
What?
Team that wasn't good enough to make the ACC title game and has never won the ACC is good enough to make the national championship game. Those crazy tiebreakers, but it was huge. One ACC team entered the tournament. 5 SEC teams did. We have the ACC team left standing. Miami goes 3-0 against the SEC this season, and it's huge, right? It's proof of concept. It's like, hey, we believe this. It's going to help with recruiting, but more than anything, you're one game. You've taken advantage of a situation where now you get to play the national championship game at home. Although it will be very weird to see Miami in the road whites in their home stadium, which is what they will be because they're the lower seeded team either way. But it's just, I felt it last night. Like, you can't not finish the story now, to borrow Cody Rhodes' phrase. You can't not finish the story. So I really, really obviously hope that they do. But no matter what, you have to be congratulatory. They had no defensive backs left at the end last night. Their cornerbacks, Damari Brown was out. He's like one of their top 3. Xavier Lucas got ejected for targeting, which I don't know how that was targeting, and the earlier call wasn't targeting. I don't know how that was. Frederic was injured, so they got to get some guys back because Lucas is going to be out for the first half of the title game. Mesidor looked like he was seriously hurt. He came back. And one thing about Miami, they had really ridden this pass rush defensively. Zippo from the pass rush last night. They had 1 sack, which is like Chambliss running back. He was tackled right at the line of scrimmage by a linebacker. Bain, 1 tackle. Mesidor, 4. If you'd have told me before the game they get 1 sack, I'd tell you Miami lose.
Look, it's the fact that you held Ole Miss pretty much to under 30 points is a miracle. Okay, that is a legit top 5 offense in college football. They embarrassed people all season, and you were right there. Again, this was funny. Going into that final drive where Miami needed to score a touchdown, I actually had confidence where they've been moving the ball the whole game, and your 2 top receivers look like NFL receivers. Ole Miss could not stop your passing game. So I had confidence. How about you?
Well, if you've seen that routine before, sometimes they tend to get a little conservative, play for field goal. You think about it, 3rd and 10 from, I would say, was probably about the 35-ish or so of Ole Miss. You don't get 10 yards. You're trusting a kicker that has gotten a little shakier. With the season on line, even if he makes it, Ole Miss has plenty of time for apparently Brandon Aubrey's playing college football now. I was unaware of this. And I mean, that kicker, if they got to midfield, he had a good chance to make it. So that 3rd and 10 play, Keelan Marion, the game of his life last night, 7 catches. I think he had 110, 111 yards. So often, obviously, we hear about Malachi Toney, and he looked like Malachi Toney last night. CJ Daniels had started out really as their number 1 guy. He's been a little dinged up, but it was really Keelan Marion that stepped up last night, the transfer from BYU, a senior. And, it's just, they were without their starting tight end. Elijah Lofton got carted off. I don't know his status, but they apparently a lot of them had the flu. I don't know who it was, but he said, Cristobal after the game said a lot of them were sick. So it was just a gutsy. It was altogether a gutsy effort, and at the same time, how did you not win that game by multiple scores?
I know. I keep thinking that as well in that football game. See, I go back to the whole season where I go, the selection committee, it's not just about who should make the tournament, but who's built to win multiple football games? Who has the depth and the horses to win that type of race? Miami's proved it. And think, no home game in the playoff. They had to go to College Station, then they had to go to 2 straight bowl sites, and they've been the underdog, they've been the bad guy, they've been the enemy. No one believes in them, and they've won every single game. And I give all the credit to Mario Cristobal. After all the criticism he's gotten from me and other media members and the fan base, he has broken through and gotten them to the title.
I mean, I didn't think we were getting in the playoff the morning of the playoff. I thought they were going to leave us out. I thought when Alabama flashed up as 9, I said, okay, maybe, but just incredible joy when we made it. It's just one of those things. It's like the biggest. I don't want to compare it to it yet because it hasn't obviously happened, and they're going to be the underdog in the title game. But the best runs sometimes are the ones you don't expect. And like, I'll go back. We talk baseball a lot. So like the Yankees in the 90s when they won. Okay, well, people pretty much thought it was great. It was amazing. Everyone thought the Yankees were going to, be the beast and do that. You ever think a 10 seed was going to make the national championship game? I think people could have saw them beating Texas A&M. I think that was closer to a coin flip. I don't think anybody thought they were beating Ohio State. And I think Miami was probably counted out a couple times last night in the fourth quarter. And it was going to be one of the classic Miami games where you outplay the other team and they find a way to lose, whether it's the Georgia Tech game 2 years ago, whether it's SMU this year, you just find a way to lose, and they found a way to win for once. And or I shouldn't say once because obviously they've been on this great run, but it just fills your heart with joy, and I couldn't be more excited. And the way they're doing it is repeatable because they're dominant along the lines. The offensive line for Miami, every time they ran the ball, like they weren't busting big runs, but it was like a drip, drip, drip of 4 or 5 yards every time they handed it to Fletcher. And that's when they're right, that's what they do. They actually, to be perfectly honest with you, last half of the regular season, couldn't run the ball all that well. Like Fletcher was getting less time even. But they've gotten back to that, and obviously it's worked.
It's funny you bring this up. So, like, if you look at, like, Florida Gator basketball from last season, they were top 5 all year, and they were showing signs like this is a team that can make a legitimate run in the tournament. Like, and they were winning and winning and winning. I'll be honest with you. Watching this Miami team during the year, like, they were good, but I never thought, like, oh, yeah, they're going to go win the national title. I thought if they could get in the dance, if they could get in this 12-team playoff, that would have been a great season.
Did you think the team in the first month could do it? When they were beating Notre Dame and Miami was in the top 3.
Okay, all right. They didn't blow out they didn't blow out Notre Dame.
They didn't blow out anybody except USF. But yeah,
they didn't blow out Florida. They didn't blow out Florida State. Every game was close. When it was like a big primetime game against a team.
FSU was a blowout till it wasn't. But yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The South Florida game was that statement game because South Florida was ranked going
late in the year. Pittsburgh was they made it. I think that was the one. If they beat Pittsburgh by like 6 points, I don't know if they make it. They beat them by 31.
Yeah, and you said it a second ago. You were scared they weren't going to make the tournament.
I thought they were out.
Yeah,
I absolutely thought they were out. The only thing that gave me a sliver of a hope was when Duke beat Virginia.
I agree.
And then they said, okay, we got to have an ACC team, right? And so I don't – apparently, you hear the committee, it didn't make a difference. I can't believe in some dark recess of their mind maybe it did, because it would have been a big deal not to have any teams from any one conference.
All right. So if Virginia wins –
Virginia goes, James Madison would have been out. So it would have been that. It would have been that, and Virginia would have played Ole Miss. But do you feel the compunction then to put Miami in?
I don't know.
Now I will be perfectly honest with you. I think Miami should have been in. They beat Notre Dame on the field. I mean, and the fact that we're still talking about that's going to be, especially if Miami finishes this off. But either way, that Miami Notre Dame game next year is going to be one of the more anticipated games. It's in South Bend. I thought Alabama should have been the team out because it was clear they weren't playing real well, and they somewhat validated their selection by beating Oklahoma. But then you see them play against Indiana, and you're like, what?
Yeah. You know what's funny? We're here with Chris Bonanno. I like Miami's offense more last year with Cam Ward.
It's not even close. It's not even close. Last year's offense was generational. They just had – I can't begin to tell you how bad that defense was. If they had an average defense, they would have made a run.
They could have won the title last year. So that's why I want to ask you this. I give all the credit to the coaching staff. They had to get better on defense. I would have just taken an average defense this year, and all of a sudden they turn into the 85 Bears at times. What was the difference?
They have a new defensive coordinator in Corey Heatherman. Obviously, that's made a world of a difference. But, at the same time, Bain and Mesidor were on the team last year. They brought in a boatload of transfers in the second. The secondary was absolutely terrible last year. Most of that is new. You think of the Syracuse game. They needed to beat Syracuse to make the play. This is what I'm talking about with Miami. They were up 21-0 against, and I want to emphasize this, Syracuse. And if they win that game, they're in the playoff with, Cam Ward and that amazing offense. The defense was so bad. They just find a way to lose that game. And you feel like it's Groundhog's Day. Even, you go back to Cristobal himself. Cristobal always found a way to lose one game at Oregon so that they would, they were 10-2, but they never quite grasped that they couldn't get the big. They lost to Washington a couple times. He did a good job there. But the thing on Mario has always been his game day management. Obviously it worked out last night. He's changed a little bit. He's gotten less conservative throughout the year. The last month of the regular season, Miami probably ran like several trick plays a game. It was wide open. All the stuff with Coney and the Wildcat hasn't worked in the playoff. But that's what got them here, was they had to change that offense because people figured out, they're running up the middle every time. It was Miami fans bemoaning that. Now Miami fans want to run up the A gap every time. So it's been quite a dichotomy. I don't know who to root for tonight. That's an interesting question. Who do you think I should be rooting for tonight?
All right. Here's what's interesting. So these two teams played each other in Eugene, and Indiana went there and won. Or they won that game. But then I look at Oregon, how they destroyed Texas Tech. Wasn't that game in Miami?
That game was in Miami. And one thing I think about with Oregon, poor Oregon, I don't know how this happened. They were in Miami last week. They're in Atlanta tonight. And if they win tonight, they're going back to Miami.
Yeah.
Yikes for them and their fans.
Okay, so what did Bama score? 3 points?
38-3.
They didn't score a touchdown. And Texas Tech didn't score a point.
No, Ole Miss and Georgia saved that day because those were two games that were just no-shows on offense.
So I like you bring up, all right, the SEC is out. ACC has a team in the title game. The Big Ten's guaranteed to have a team. So the Big Ten has a chance to win 3 straight national titles. And this is the stat I thought of this morning. The SEC has not won the title for a couple of years now. Georgia, I believe, is the last one. We're at a 12-team playoff. Not only does the SEC not win the title, they don't get a team in the title game guaranteed now.
The 3rd straight year.
That's out. What is going on? And that goes to my bigger point. I don't care. And I cover the SEC. NIL and transfer portal, it balanced everything out. Now everyone can spend money. And now the SEC's hurting for it. Are they the best conference? Because it appears not now. That's what's happening.
I mean, certainly we've talked about it throughout the year. The Big Ten, Big Ten is top. I would say the Big Ten is top heavier, and the SEC might be deeper.
Okay.
But this idea where Greg Sankey comes out and says, "Oh, we deserve 7 teams in the playoff." Are you sure about that? Because you got 5 teams in a 12-team field, and you did not get a team in the title game. That's not good.
That's a failure.
What I will choose to look at. I mean, look, I don't think anybody would question any of the 3 Big Ten teams that made it: Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. I think you could have probably questioned in retrospect. I mean, we knew Oklahoma really wasn't good enough, but they had the resume. It kind of had to let them in. They were a weird case. Bama, I understood Bama. Like, we have to let them in. We can't knock them out for being a title game participant. But the whole thing was, like, when Bama jumped Notre Dame because they beat Auburn by 7. What? Like, Auburn wasn't good. Like we have to get past this mindset that an SEC win counts more than like a win in another conference, because it just okay, maybe the fans are a little bit more passionate in some cases, but this is the 3rd straight year. Like the SEC, I don't want to turn this into an SEC rip fest. They went 1-8 against Power 4 teams in the postseason. That is terrible. And what I would like to say in a positive way, the ACC has taken a lot of slings and arrows, a lot. And some of it is deserved, with the tiebreaker rules, and wait till next year when some teams play 9 conference games and some teams play 8. Like, it's a really stupid idea. But there is better football than you think being played in that conference. And I would like to think Miami shows it.
And I could tell, I'll just say this to you. I could tell in your heart, it's been buried a long time. But I feel like the swagger's going to come back out. And your brain singing, yeah, SEC, put 9 teams in. Miami will beat them all. We'll go to Notre Dame. We'll beat the Irish as well. Miami's back. Is that
well, we're not doing that for another. Yeah, I mean, this last game is important, right? There's a big game. There's a very big difference between winning the national championship and losing in the title game. Huge. Like, you don't get a trophy for finishing runner-up, I don't think. So, like, it would be, as excited as we are, what if Miami lost the national championship game on their home field? Like, that would be a crusher, and they're gonna be an underdog. What I'm looking for tonight is not the terrifying machine that I saw in the Rose Bowl. If that happens again to Oregon, like, I want to see some vulnerabilities from Indiana. The only thing that gives me hope, Ohio State's pass rush got to Mendoza, and Mendoza's a little bit more of a stationary target. I don't know who's going to win tonight. I feel like people have made it seem like it's a foregone conclusion that Indiana's going to win. I don't really see it that way. I think Oregon, like, Indiana keeps playing teams with more talent. Sooner or later, it has to matter, right? Like, they have to screw up, like, once. They just never do anything wrong. I've never seen anything like Indiana before.
Okay, so you asked me earlier, like, who should I be rooting for? All right, best storyline. Miami's back. They're in the title game. It's there in Miami Gardens. That's where they play home games. You take on Indiana, the greatest story ever this year, the Cinderella, just Cignetti, all that stuff. And Fernando's from Miami. Didn't he grow up in South Florida? So
yeah, and there were some who wanted him. He was a Canes fan. They did play against Mendoza last year when he was the quarterback for Cal, and that was in and of itself an amazing game. That was a game where Miami was down 35-10, and Cam Ward just basically won the game by himself.
Wait. Was that the game that ended at like 2:00 in the morning?
2:30 in the morning.
So I was covering Florida versus UCF in the swamp. I got back to my hotel late and watched the end of that. I remember this game. That's so crazy. Dude, there's another game I saw where Fernando's at California taking on Caleb Williams at USC 2 years ago. That's how weird of a timeline this is.
That is wild. And it also, like, he was good at Cal, but it shows you the magic of Cignetti. Like, it's not done yet. I think Kurt Cignetti might be doing the greatest job in the history of college football, even if they lose tonight. Like, Indiana,
yeah.
Like, it's absolutely absurd. It's not like they bought, like, 25-star kids. Like they're doing it with like 2 and 3-star kids in a lot of cases. They're just extraordinarily well coached. And he came in with all swagger. Guy had swagger. Google me.
Google me.
And he comes in, and like the first year they go from like patsy to 11-1, and this year they're undefeated Big Ten champs. I don't know who to root for tonight. I really truly don't. My heart tells me root for Oregon, but I don't know.
When they were taking on Alabama, and I will always remember this for the end of time now. So Bama gets the ball first, and Bama's like, well, we're Alabama. We're the SEC. We are the standard of college football. And that Indiana defense said, nope. And like they were so sound, they were so disciplined, nothing was open, and they smacked them in the mouth. And you know this play. It's 4th down and short, and they're like, we're going to go for it. Timeout. All right, they're going to punt now. Oh, no, we're going for it. Signetti got angry.
They tried that drawing offside stuff before then, and he was looking at Bama. I don't know if he was looking at Bama's staff or not. He almost looked insulted that they tried that. Like his facial, I don't know how you phrase it. Either his facial expressions or his non-facial expressions are like the stuff of legends. But he might very well be the new Nick Saban.
Yeah,
and he's in Indiana,
and he's a character, and college football is great when we have characters. And I'm like a Steve Spurrier, you know what I mean? Like we need more characters. And I think what I love about Mario is, hey, he could have stayed at Oregon. He could have been, he go, no, I need to help my school. And I'm going to go, and it's going to be a big risk, and I'm going to
That is one thing. So that's one thing that concerns me a little bit. If it's Oregon, you're going to call it the Fiesta Bowl. And kind of like everyone, remember when the Harbaughs faced off in the Super Bowl and you couldn't stand the phrase Harbaugh by the time the game got going?
The crystal ball.
It's going to be the same way here. Look, the way that Cristobal got to Miami, where they were kind of leaving Manny Diaz in the lurch that morning, was not great. I'm hoping that there's no karma there if it's Oregon. The one good thing, Miami is not used to having the home field throughout. Even last night, there were more Ole Miss fans there than Miami. I don't think it was a rout, but there were more Ole Miss fans there than Miami fans. Which you get, like it's closer. It's a big public school. We're a small private school. Ohio State seemed like there was a few more fans there. Miami should have more fans there. A, because they've got a day head start on this, and B, obviously it's close to home. C, I don't know if you've taken a look at the ticket prices for this particular game. I took a look thinking, I wonder if I could go to said game. And no, I didn't see anything less than 5 figures.
Dude, you think that's bad? Go look at the World Cup ticket prices.
Oh, they're atrocious.
Insane. Nosebleeds are a couple thousand. Insane.
I was willing to go, because obviously it's in Miami. I was willing to go to watch anybody, to be perfectly honest with you, just to go see, I went to the World Cup. No way. No, I'm really, really mad. And they're going to play before like half empty stadiums unless these ticket prices crash. And shame on them.
Okay, let's end with this. And then what we'll do is, once we know the opponent, we'll come back on and do a real preview.
Right.
Let's end with the final question with Chris Bonanno. Is Michael Irvin the Sister Jean mascot of the Miami Hurricanes now? Is that what he has become?
Well, he was doing this last year too. If you look, I referenced the Cal game. You should have seen him during the Cal game. Just all that. There were others there last night. One thing I thought that was interesting when they did the honorary captains, and I was worried as a Giants fan when Eli came out for Ole Miss. I was like, I said, Eli in that stadium, right? Because that's where they beat the Patriots in 2007. Yeah. But they didn't have Michael Irvin as the honorary cap. Were they afraid he was going to do something stupid? Like, I don't know. Like because they had Edgerrin James, but Michael Irvin has been, from a Miami fan's perspective, a great hype man, ambassador. From a neutral fan's perspective, you're probably tired of seeing him 5 times. They really didn't show him that much last night, but you might be tired of his antics. But he's insane on the sideline. Ray Lewis was there. Cam Ward was there. I think there were a few others. I would imagine there might be 1 or 8 billion Miami alums there for the championship game on the sidelines. I get goosebumps just thinking about the fact that my team's going to play for the national championship in 10 days.
That is the mic drop right there. Chris Bonanno. I'm in shock. I'm just in shock we're even in this situation, but it appears we are. And I said this 2 days ago. I will end with this with you. I'm so happy they won as well because I'm sick of Ole Miss.
Can I say one last thing?
What? I just want to say I'm sick of Ole Miss and the Lane Kiffin story. I'm happy they got knocked out.
I actually feel bad for Ole Miss. I like they played their guts out. They really did. I do want to end on this.
What?
This season, Miami has beaten. I'm just talking about from a rival perspective. Notre Dame, USF, Florida, Florida State, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M, Ohio State, and they won in the Fiesta Bowl. They exercised that demon in multiple ways. They beat Ohio State, and then they won the Fiesta Bowl, which they'd never done. They're the second team ever to win all the major bowls. Only Texas is the other team to have done that. And they were 0-4 in the Fiesta Bowl. Probably the two worst losses in Miami history have happened in the Fiesta Bowl, 86 title game and the Fiesta Bowl in 03. So they've exercised all these demons, but there's one more left to go, and that's the big one. And that's for as great as this all has been, we were going to remember the title game the most, right? So it gives me goosebumps, but I'm going to try to enjoy the game tonight. I'm going to try to enjoy the fact that my team's going to get talked about for 10 days. I'm going to try not to pay attention to the portal like I have been, because it's insane that Miami has to do the portal while this is all going on. And I'm just going to cross my fingers. There is one thing I would say. There is one of our backup tight ends has transferred to Indiana in the last week.
What?
I'm really worried if we play Indiana, he's going to tell them our signals and everything.
What is this, WrestleMania? What is that? Chris, all right, I'll let you go. Come back on right before the title game. We'll preview.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
Thank you.